Remember how good Shedeur Sanders looked in his first preseason outing? Over 150 total yards, a couple of touchdowns. Well, the ending was not nearly as good. In fact, it was every bit as bad the other way. He was sacked 5 times against the Rams, 3 for 6, 14 yards, subsequently benched with the team only down 2 in the final couple minutes for Tyler Huntley, who they ended up cutting. Huntley released. The Browns still have a bunch of quarterbacks on their roster, and that cut day is on Tuesday, where you got to get it down to 53. So we have Leger and Danny here with us in studio. We're also joined by our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. JJ, the question we're going to ask these guys is should Shedeur Sanders make the 53-man roster? But what are you hearing about the chances that he might not?
Oh, I think he's absolutely going to make the 53-man roster. Andrew Berry, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, is loath to cut draft picks. We have seen that time and again. And so the fact that you have a quarterback who did perform well at some points in the preseason, someone that you invested a 5th-round selection in, someone who, you are going through the headache of everything that comes with the external noise. And look, there is certainly some pros involved with this team in terms of content creation. You got to feed the beast, right? And so every time they post Shedeur Sanders, the Cleveland Browns organization, its valuation may be going up a tick. They're not cutting Shedeur, because here's the other thing. You don't want to put him on the practice squad because he would have to clear waivers. And he's an able-bodied quarterback who, again, brings value to an organization, and so someone would very likely scoop him up. So he is not going to be released. I do have a question. I just want to know if everyone is okay, because the last couple of days, the conversation around Shedeur Sanders has been unhealthy. The discourse has been maddening. I don't understand how we got to this place. The only thing that I can compare it to is the Tim Tebow craze from more than a decade ago. We're still talking about a quarterback who is probably the 3rd or 4th option on this team, who performed like a day 2 pick, who was picked on day 3 because of everything else going on, who he got benched because of his poor play, because he kept taking negative plays. Danny, that happens all the time. I know it never happened to you. I know you never got benched. But when you play poorly, sometimes the coaches pull you, and sometimes there are punitive things that happen. That's just what happened. I don't understand why this has become some referendum on race and culture and backup quarterbacks. It really is a basic final preseason game conversation.
I am blown away by the amount of wasted breath we've given to a 5th-round pick who's battling for a 3rd or 4th spot in the depth chart. Like, it's absolutely maddening. And I hear JJ's frustration. I share the same exact feeling, because none of it is helping Shedeur Sanders and none of it is helping the Cleveland Browns. Like, that's where I think, and that's where I wonder, because I think it is a great comparison to Tim Tebow. Like, you saw this wave of, and it started in the college game because you had some nutty, wacky fans. Some of them might be at this table from Tim Tebow, Florida Gator fans.
I just want to say I wasn't a Gator fan until I went to Florida, which was after Tim Tebow.
Yes.
So please excuse me from this narrative.
But having lived through that, anything you said about Tebow, I didn't think he was going to be a good NFL quarterback. It was, oh, well, then you must hate God and you must be anti-Christian or you don't like this. And I'm just like, no, I just don't think he's a very good quarterback. Now, Shedeur, I think, has a much better chance of succeeding in the NFL, but the polarizing nature of any time you say something about it, JJ mentioned the race conversation becomes in. His dad's a Hall of Famer. There's so many different tentacles to this story. I just wonder, and I think you can see it on Kevin Stefanski's face. He's like, oh boy, we're getting asked about this again. I guarantee you the Browns are more excited than anybody to start the regular season, so you can put this to bed. But watch out if you're Joe Flacco, and if you struggle any sort of way out of the gate, the fans are going to be calling for Shedeur, the internet's going to be calling for Shedeur, major TV shows are going to be calling for Shedeur, and it doesn't do anybody any good.
I was about to say, Danny, it's not going to end, because if the Browns struggle in the beginning of the year, they're going to want to see one of these younger quarterbacks. And just because of the aura and bravado that Shedeur Sanders, and obviously the last name has a lot to do with it. Like, it's Monday, and we're in the second segment of a 3 o'clock show, and we're talking about a 5th-round pick. Like, does that happen anywhere else? And it's because of what JJ talked about, like the aura of Shedeur. And if they were to cut him and put him on waivers, so many teams would probably line up to claim him on the waiver wire just because of the eyeballs that he brings to that team. So to JJ's point earlier, this is a 5th-round rookie quarterback. He's in a developmental stage. There's going to be ebbs and flows. You're going to struggle. I'm with Danny and DK. Like, it got ridiculous on Twitter this weekend. People talking about he was set up to fail.
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah, like, it was ridiculous. Like, if you go back and look at the tape, he was way more decisive his first game versus the Carolina Panthers. Like, the game versus this last week versus the Rams, he wasn't decisive. He held the ball. Some of the issues that, talent evaluators saw from him at Colorado, they reared their ugly head. And you have to understand as a young quarterback, especially when you're the 3rd or 4th string guy, you're playing with 3rd and 4th stringers. It's not going to be all great. It's how you handle adversity. What does your body language look like? Things aren't going to be perfect for you when you're playing in the 4th or 3rd preseason game with a bunch of backups. But that's part of your development. Like, you have to go through that. That way you can learn from that, and he will learn from that. But again, it was just ridiculous on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. People talking about he was set up to fail and all this. No, he struggled like most rookies would in that scenario. Offensive line struggled. His receivers didn't get open. And also, he held the ball. And you know this as a quarterback, DK. Once you start feeling pressure, you start feeling phantom pressure. And it speeds your clock up. That's what happened to Shedeur Sanders. He will be on this roster, and he will continue to develop.
And you know what? I think back to when Dylan Gabriel got the start, and he said the word entertainer, and everyone was like drawing comparisons. Hey, he's throwing shade at Shedeur.
But even that interview was cut out of context.
Right.
Like, if you listen to the whole thing, it made total sense. The one thing that I truly don't know, and I don't think anybody really has a good pulse of this, is what's it like in the locker room? Because I think that happens to Tebow. Players get jealous of the attention. And I think Shedeur, I think the players like him. I think he's handled this better than anybody. From the minute he started dropping when he was drafted, he didn't complain about being a 5th-round pick. He didn't try to make excuses. He didn't say there was any conspiracy. He said, I'm just happy to have a job. I want to go to work. As long as he maintains that attitude inside the locker room, he'll be fine. Yeah. But if he goes in there and acts like a starter and acts like, hey, I'm getting screwed here, that's when it becomes problematic in the locker room. But I haven't seen that yet, and I wouldn't expect it out of him either.